Hi everyone, and thanks for being with me. I have a theory about Donald Trump. I guess many people have theories about this lunatic, but mine may be a little different to others. So, in a moment, I'll tell you what it is. Now, the first thing I need to say about Trump, which I've said many times before, and that is he's a moron. But even morons have a pattern, a way by which they behave, which is clear and obvious to all of us, if we care to look at their behaviour, that is. Now, it's become evident that Trump is more and more likely to have a brain fart, and I guess this is my theory. It's the brain fart theory. So basically, he has this moment where he has an idea. He hasn't colluded with anybody. He hasn't sought information from others. He hasn't endeavoured to find out what will be the repercussions of my brain fart. He simply has the idea. You know, the idea that we could turn Gaza into a Trump casino, or we could turn it into some sort of incredible Trump resort, is one of those ideas. Another Trump fart would be, let's take over Greenland because it only has 50,000 people and no one really cares about it anyway, and it's covered in ice and who gives a shit. But that was his brain fart. Let's take that over because it's close to Russia. There are lots of ships travel through there, both Russian and Chinese, in fact. So let's take it over because it's an inconsequential country, regardless of the fact that it is actually a province of Denmark. Let's take over Panama Canal. I just had an idea, he says, that perhaps Panama is charging people far too much to travel through Panama. So let's take that over as well because it seems unjust. Now, the first thing we need to note is that Trump has no idea or concept of what justice is. It's quite evident from most of his behaviour that he has a plan, and his plan he wants to enact regardless of the impact that it has on other people. Now, when we think of justice or injustice, we often think about what is fair, what is equitable, what is appropriate. But Trump doesn't have any of those concepts. He's not interested in that, doesn't give a shit about other people. He simply wants to enact his plan. So what happens is this, I reckon, is that Trump decides he's going to do something, so he has a brain fart, doesn't collude with others, doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know anything geopolitically about any of his decisions and how they're going to affect others because he doesn't care about that. What he does care about, and this is what we all need to note, and this is why the tariffs are going backwards and forwards in the way that they are, because the only thing he cares about is his popularity. Now, the problem with that is twofold. Number one is he lives in a bubble, and one wonders what it is that people would say to him that would help him to understand that his popularity isn't what he thinks it is. And the other argument, I guess, is that his psychopathology, his narcissism, would hardly permit him to accept any alternate fact in relation, I hate to use that term, Kellyanne Conway term, but the reality is that he doesn't want to know either about the facts. But something happens somewhere along the line that makes him realise that doing what he's doing is not helping his personal individual cause. The thing, I guess, that motivates him the most, which is really about the only way Trump can think, and that is about himself. How is this going to impact him? Are people liking him? Are people disliking him? Does he matter? Is it still the 1/3 of the population that will like him regardless of what he does? No, I think Trump is becoming more and more mindful that his popularity is decreasing. Now, an example of this is recently where Elon Musk got berated in a meeting recently because he has realised that the popularity of Elon Musk is declining, and therefore that's going to affect his own popularity. That the randomly sacking of hundreds of thousands of people is an unpopular thing to do. Now, I think that he's also starting to realise that attacking Zelensky in the way that he did was unhelpful in terms of his popularity as well, because he's also discovering that those the Europeans and the British are upset with the way he's handled the Ukraine affair. So he's becoming more and more unpopular internationally. He's becoming more and more unpopular domestically. And as a result of that, he has to change course. So it's like an alternate brain fart. So when he realises that things are not going the way that he would like them to go in terms of popularity, he will then cancel whatever it is that is done. The irony of all of that is that him making those decisions to cancel stuff creates even more uncertainty. In politics, what people like is someone who has authority, and the authority is usually embedded in making appropriate decisions and choosing to stick to them. That's what authority really is about. But Trump has no concept of that form of authority. He's also so ill-informed by many, many things. And there's a recent example of this, and I'm just going to play a brief clip of this. It's not over important, but it does highlight the issue, I think, in relation to where Trump sits around his decision-making. And so on this particular video, he's talking about the tariffs, new threats of tariffs against Canada, and we'll talk about what this actually means and how correct he was in the first place.
In Canada, we find that they're charging us over 200% for dairy products. You know about that. And when I left, we had that well taken care of, but under Biden, they just kept raising it. Very difficult to deal with the Canadian representatives. 250% for dairy products, tariff. So where do you hear that? You don't hear that. They have...
Well, the reason why you don't hear about it is because it's been enforced for years, and it is really about the Canadians protecting their dairy industry and their farmers. But the reality is it's 241% to start with, and secondly, it's a limit. So it's a cap set on how much tariffs can reach. It has never, I can't tell you what it is currently at the moment, but it has never reached that 241 limit. Never. It is there, no one's disputing that, but just to toss out the figure at 250, as he says it, which is wrong, but even to suggest for a moment that that is a thing that is happening right now is disingenuous and is just plain Donald Trump. But I guess that's my point. Trump throws out this stuff and he says things out loud like, this is something that no one knows nothing about. Well, the reason why people don't know about it is because they don't care, because it's irrelevant. That's why. It's not a big deal. But it's Trump who chooses to make it a big deal. And so here he continues this attack. So he finds another avenue to attack Canada because at this point, Trudeau and Canadians in general have said, Donald, you're an idiot and the tariffs are bad policy. So he's chosen something that's outlandish, irrelevant, doesn't really matter, and he's focusing on that. So this is kind of like who Donald Trump is. And we must be mindful of the fact that he has brain farts, and then he has an alternate brain fart, which is, I'm getting hit by this, and this is concerning me because my popularity is waning, not because he's making decisions that have any substantive understanding or substantive data that will support them. It's just that they're a thought pattern he has, and this thought pattern gets interrupted because at the end of the day, his popularity is waning. Now, the question really remains, I think, and I'll finish with this, is that as his popularity decreases, he will choose to do two things. He will realise that he's losing the battle, whatever it might be, battle for his popularity. His ego will be so hurt and harmed by that that he'll go all out to change the system. So he will then become, I believe, more aggressive in terms to try to convince people that whatever he's doing, whatever his brain fart is, that it has relevance. And as people resist that more and more, he and his administration will become more and more aggressive, particularly as the media starts to make reports that are anti him, or at least presenting facts which prove, I guess, that what he's saying is untrue. And particularly when people like Fox News start to challenge his secretaries around the decisions that they've made, then I think we're going to see a swift change in the way Trump deals with these issues, and he will become more and more aggressive in order to shut them down. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm sure there's many of you that will have a view around all of that. Whether you think his brain farts are just brain farts, or whether there's some sense of genius that is playing 4D chess, all that sort of crap. He isn't. The man could barely play tic-tac-toe. So let me know what you think in the section below. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.